Alright, you've changed a few denominators. Now it is time to step it up to the next level. So, what happens if you have, for example, 1/2 plus 1/3? We know that the denominators are not the same, and so it's not going to be super easy. I mean, you can't just go, oh, I have 1 2/3. That doesn't work, right? So what do? Well, it's also not as easy as the last time that we talked, right? So if you have a denominator of 4 and a denominator of 8, you can clearly just multiply that 4 by, the 2/2, all that kind of stuff, and you get a denominator of 8. But over here, you can't multiply, this denominator of 2 by any whole number and then get 3, right? Decimals, yes. Whole numbers, no. So, we're gonna have to change both denominators. And in this case, we are going to need the skill of least common multiple. If you don't remember that, or if you learned it at some point and thought to yourself, yes, I will just memorize and forget this after the test or quiz, yeah, it's time for you to relearn it, right? So let your instructor know, and it's, just pop over, review it a bit. But here's what we're going to do. So, anytime you are finding least common multiple, you're going to start with the smaller number, and you're going to count up by multiples. So, the smaller denominator over here is 2, and we're going to say, okay, 2, 4 is the next multiple, 6 is the next multiple, and 6, this is why multiplication tables are so important, 6 rings a bell because 6 is also divisible by 3. So, 6 is going to be the least common multiple, because if you wrote out all the multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever, then you got 3, 6, 9, and 6 is going to be common to both of them, right? Okay, so, what are we going to do? We are going to figure out how many sixths this is. So, 1/2 is the same as 3/6, 1/3 is the same as 2/6. We're going to draw those out. Those look similar. That's super awesome. Then we can count them all up. So, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. Yeah? What does the math look like over here? 1/2 plus 1/3. In order to get it to a denominator of 6, we are going to multiply this one by 3/3. Yeah? And we're going to multiply this one by 2/2. And what do we get? We get 3/6, right? So 1 times 3, 2 times 3, 3/6. 1 times 2, 3 times 2, 2/6, and those are going to add up to 5/6. So, the math looks like this. Again, we're using parentheses and fractions. We're not doing any kind of other ridiculousness. We're using parentheses and fractions. Now, I must give you a final word of cautionary warning. A lot of times, students see something like this and they say to themselves, oh, okay, cool, so whatever this denominator is, I'll just multiply, and then this denominator, so it's 2, I'll do 2/2, 3, I'll do 3/3, there we go, that's the rule. I don't want you to come up with some kind of a formula or rule here, because that doesn't always help you. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you had something like 1/6 plus 1/9. Your, formula, terrible formula, would tell you, okay, you're going to take this denominator and multiply 9/9, take this denominator, we're going to do 6/6, and then that's what you get. But then you're going to end up with a denominator of 54. And 54 is much higher than the actual least common multiple between those two. Here's what we actually want to do. We actually want to multiply this one by 3/3, and this one by 2/2, which is going to get us the final answer of 3 plus 18. Plus 3/18 plus 2/18, and that would be 5/18. This is a lot smaller than getting some kind of nonsense out of 54, right? That's not going to be as helpful to us. And it turns out if you were to do it the other way, you would just have to have an extra step at the end where you would then reduce the fraction. We're going to learn about reducing fractions later, just in case you guys decide to do it the ridiculous way, but don't do it the ridiculous way. Don't memorize formulas. We got to find the least common multiple. And then we do our regular fractions, right? A fraction that equals 1, fraction with parentheses, in order to change the denominator. Alright, let's practice.